Good day, everybody, and this is a recap of last class lecture and an introduction to more advanced concepts. And we are in the process of learning on how to write Visual Basic 2019 code. And for this short presentation, we are supposed to learn these four main concepts. One, we need to understand the Visual Basic IDE, which is the Integrated Development Environment. And then after recapping that one, we need to know how to write this Visual Basic code. And then after that, we'd again re-emphasize the concept of event-driven programming in VB, because we realize that event-driven programming is present in most programming languages. And then finally, we're going to write some few codes which are going to implement some few concepts. So I'll straight away take us back to the IDE, which would help us to really understand what we need to do. So our IDE, we all know that we're supposed to launch it from our start button and just say Visual Studio 2019. It's here, and I guess it is going to load fast. Unfortunately, it's quite a bit of heavy software, and sometimes it takes a lot of time. And then after getting this page, we can either open what we've been working on, or you can start a new project. In this case, I want us to all understand how we're supposed to start new projects. So I'm going to create a new project here. And now this new project will again load. And then after getting to this page, I once said that we need to get into Visual Basic form program, something like that. Form application. It's there's a C hash. There's a C hash. We want to go still down and see if we can get the VB console. VB. Okay, we have here Windows form application, because we are going to develop applications on forms, and we're going to try to connect to the database. So I will just double click this one, and then I can give my project a name, or by default Windows will keep on giving the names. So for this one, I can call it sample 5, like that. So it's like we might be having sample 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's why I'm giving it that name. So our project is called as sample 5. So I can create it here, and now I think the environment is supposed to be loaded and presented to us to start the process of creation. So basically, I'm just trying to walk you through the very basic steps of having us launch this IDE. Once again, I remember I say that we have a toolbox here, which is one of the most important things. Now, we also have two very important windows here. One is called as the Explorer window, or Solution Explorer, and the other one is the property. You can get it from here. So this is a property window. So that means that we can be able to give our form or our controls, which are here, properties. Now, for those who are not there, we say that we have a menu, and this menu is very powerful, and it can help us even connect to the Git repository, and then we can be able to either get things down or share or store, etc., depending on what you want to do there. So for today, I want to talk basically about this toolbox. Number one, if you come to the contents of the toolbox, we have what is called here all window forms. Now, all window forms, it will like present close to everything that we can use to develop an application here. We have pointer, binding navigator, button, checkbox, we have content menu strip, and many other things here. Error provider, event, log, etc. So all these controls, we're not going to use them now, but maybe later on we might be interested to use most of them. But then we have this option here that talks about common controls. So these common controls are the controls that people commonly use. Number one, we have a pointer here. Number two, we have a button. And then we know that a button will always help us to either click something. And then you can always see when I put a mouse like this, there is some information that pops up. And like for this button, it states that it raises an event when the user clicks it. Okay, so it means that it can be used to generate events or raise an event. That's very important. So number two, we have a checkbox here, enables the user to select or clear the associated option. For example, you are filling in your registration form and you're trying to talk about your hobbies. Your hobbies, you can have cycling, driving, reading, or sleeping, or reading. And then you can check all those boxes. That is a checkbox. It will enable you to check everything or to select everything. And then we also have here something with the name checked list box. It says that it displays a list of items with a checkbox on the left side of each item. So we have a list of items and then we have a checkbox on the other side. Now, combo box displays an editable box with a drop-down list of permitted values. Now, they call it editable, meaning that, for example, here there is a CPU is something here. If I click here, what comes down is something like a drop-down box. Now, what they say here that it is editable, meaning you can click in here and then you can edit. Now, in this case, that one is not editable and this is not editable. So these are not combo box. But then if you get a drop-down menu or control that enables you to edit here, that is what's called a combo box. We have a timer here, enables you to select a date and time and to display the date and time and a specific format. So that will use it with time. And then we have a label here, provides you to describe your information. That's why it's just like a label. And then let's go to a list box here. Displays a list from which user can select an item. Now a list box would somewhat resemble a combo box because this one will just give you a list of items, but then you're not going to do what? To edit. So that one is permanent. I'm sorry to say that. So we have a list view here which can show you a collection of items in one of 5 different views. So that's very important. Month calendar, not going to use it now. Progress bar, we did say here, displays a bar that is to indicate the user progress on an operation. So progress bar, for example, when we're installing software, as software keeps on installing, the progress keeps on building up. So we can also have something close to that. Or when you want to load your program, it should be able to load. And then we have a radio button here. A radio button would enable you to select a single option. Let's say you have this option, for example, you're supposed to choose whether you're male or female, or boy or girl, or gender. So you cannot say you are boy and girl at the same time. So the control only permits you to select one option. So it's either you're a father or a mother, or it's either you're in university or you're not in university. So it is call a radio button. So that's very important. We have a text box. We use that one, and we're going to use it today in a few experiments. And then tree view, you can display things in a hierarchical order. Then we can go to web browser, enable the user to browse web pages inside your form. So that means that you can create a form here, and then you can be able to browse. So that's very powerful. Now that is what I want us to really note. So this option gives us most of the things we're going to use. So that's very important. Now let me see here, menus. We talked about menu strip and everything, not bad. And other things, we'll get to know them as we keep on going further. Maybe let me talk about these dialogues. Now, many a times you want to create an application that is going to enable you, either, for example, to open your files or folders inside your computer. So you're going to use these tools. For example, we have file dialog, meaning that let me, for example, just keep it here. So it's just right here. It will enable us, for example, when we run our computer, we are able to click on an option that we have programmed, and we are able to open and see the files in our computer. So this is for save file dialog box. Each time we are trying to save something, that dialog box always pops to us, which enables us to save things. We're going to look into that. So font dialog, we want to select the font type and everything. So that is also going to help us in all those operations. So that is very important. And then once we will have created our database and we have information there, we can view, for example, this information using some of these options here. For example, this data grid view, it displays rows and columns of data in a grid you can customize. So that means information in a database can be viewed on the phone. So you don't have to open the database or go somewhere. You can decide to view it, and you have all the rows and columns there. That one will also be able to see it. So basically, that's how powerful the toolbox is. Moving to this other side, I did mention that all these tools have got these controls, these properties. We can always change the properties of each tool. You put a tool here, for example, you put a button here, you can change everything here. You can change how it appears. You can change, for example, its back color or its size. You can make it fixed, or you can increase its size. So any property that is here means that we can go to use or work on it here. So that is very important. So we need to know that toolbox and properties and our form here are very crucial. Next, Solution Explorer, I say the time we keep on building, we can always have so many forms here, and you might want to access few things here and there, either the code and or various forms. We can use the Solution Explorer. That is what is going to happen. So let's get into today's presentation. Let's talk about now writing the code. I remember last time I said, for example, you bring this button here and then you double click it. If you double click it, you are brought right inside some codes that are already given to us. So our code is going to be private, meaning private. It's going to apply to this control here. And this control, which is a button, it handles a click in this. So it's a button click. So that is very important. So right here is where we're going to write our code. So let's just have some few lines of explanation to understand what writing of the code entails. Now, writing the code in Visual Basic. Now let's read here quite fast. It's not a very long write-up. It's 4 pages. It says that in the previous chapter we have learned how to design the user interface by adding controls to the form and by changing their properties. However, the user interface alone will not work without adding code to them. So that is why we have to come here. So the concept of event-driven programming is quite crucial. So in VB 2017 or 2018, 2019, an event is an event-driven programming language. And event-driven means that the code is executed in response to events triggered by the user action, like clicking, mouse pressing, a keyboard press, or selecting an item from a drop-down list, or typing some words in the text box. That is an event which is being generated. And then it says here that it may also be an event that runs in response to some other programs. So some of the common events in Visual Basic are like load, click, double click, drag, press, etc. And we did talk about this. So every form and every control you place on the form has a set of events related to them. To view the events, you double click the control and on the form to enter the code window. That we've already done. You need to click on the default event to view other events associated with the control. Also, that means that it's possible for you to have different controls for your control, different events for your control. Now, for example, this is the form. Now, if I double click on the form, we come right here. It says form 1 load, my base load. So it means that this is now trying to code the form itself, not a control that is on the form itself. So that's why it's called my base. Now dot load, it means that if you start running here as the program is loading, all these instructions that are going to be here, right here, are going to be loaded. So that's very, very important. So we understand that the event here is load. So that is the default event. So when it's going to load, then all right, something is going to happen. Let's say maybe you want to change the background color or something like that. When you load, that's when it's going to happen. So that's very important. Then we did mention that if there's a control here, you click on it and double click, then you get into it. So you're supposed to code that place. So that's how it is. Now if we go back to these notes, we can now move quite fast. We now know how to write a code. Now we did talk about this end sub in our last class, and I've just spoken about form load here. They say that this procedure includes form 1 class and the event load, and they are bound together with the underscore, i.e. form load. It does nothing other than loading an empty form. To make the load event do something, insert the statement, something like that. So if you, for example, have this code inside your load right here, it means when the form is going to load, then we are going to have this message displayed. Now this message box, something that pops up to you to give information. So it is inbuilt function, something close to that. Yes, they call them for them the inbuilt function that displays a message to somebody. So that is what happens. Now maybe quite fast again, I would say that that is what is important for us now. I want us to do 2 or 3 programs and then we'll see what happens. Now our very first programmer is a program either to add 2 numbers and then display their values. So that's the very first thing that we're going to do. So I'm going to remove that one. So what we need first is to conceptualize and design our work. So we can state either on a notepad, for example, that if we need a programmer to add 2 numbers, so what we'll need either is labels to label our work. Number two, we might need text boxes. These are going to do what? This is to label our work. Text boxes in this case are going to allow us to enter information into the computer, let me call it that, or the program, that's fine. And then we need buttons. Now these buttons are going to allow us to do what? To code or to write the program. To write the program. The program is what will control the flow of events. All right, and then what else we're going to use are something that I'll talk in the next lecture, operators. And in this case, we're going to use the addition operator. So addition operator will enable us to add two or more events. So this is what we need right here on our form. So let's move faster. So let's go to not all forms, let's go to the common. So the list is quite less and it's easier. So we can drag and drop this control. So the label would come here. So once we have label 1 here, remember you can come to the property and then we can state here that this is either the title program to add to numbers. Now you can drag and position it there, the font style, color and everything. You can always change it right here. So I just want to make it bold, and then yes, it's here bold, that's fine. Let me just put it at 10. Now that's good enough. So the next thing that I want to do is now to add more labels. So these labels, for example, I'll keep it here. This is the enter the first number. I can change there and write a text. Sorry, enter first number, good. And then I get another label. I come there, I can state here that enter second number. That's okay. And now do I need anything else? I need a third label. Yeah, you can get another third label to display the answer. You can have it there. So we have answer is equals to, right there we are. Then we can decide to have now some buttons here. We can have one, we can have another button here, 2, then we have another button here, 3. Good. Now here the first button, we can name it calculate, and then we can decide to change its name right up here, not button 1. Let's say calculate, button calc. So that's the very first one. So the second one is, let's say it's for clearing our contents. We can decide to have that. So the text here can be changed to clear, and then we can go up and still click there, click the control. When you're changing it, the name should be clear button, right? And then finally is one to exit. You go to here and then you have exit. and then you can still click it and go back and say exit button, exit button. So that is already named. So what we need finally here are text boxes. This text box, this is checkbox, pointer. Text box is right here. We have first text box, and then we can have this second text box. So this text box, we can name them. The good thing is that they don't come with any text inside. Yeah, the text is always blank, so we can come up here and say click on the first one and then call it text box 1 or fast text, or it's okay like that, just text box 1. And then this is a text box 2, meaning the first number, the second number. I think this is good enough for us to start with the programming. Now what happens, we need a number to get into this text box, and once it gets into this text box, it means it's supposed to be stored somewhere, or not necessarily stored, kept there. And this number will be added with the number here, stored somewhere, and then displayed on this label here. So that is what we are going to do. So what happens, we want, when we click here, this calculate, it will add the text inside text box 1 and the text inside text box 2, and then it will display the information right here. So what we do, we know that this is text box 1, we know this is text box 2. So text box 1 allows text, text box 2 allows text. So when we come here, we double click, we are right here. You can see private sub calc button, button. That's what we named it. So we're trying to say that we want this information to be added. Now I'm going to do something and I'll explain what I'm doing. Now the sum is equals to val, or the value of a text box 1 dot text plus the value of text box 2 dot text. So this tells us that text 1, the value in text box 1 plus the value in text box 2 should be added to or stored in a place that we call sum. Now in this case, we have sum being underlined here, saying here that sum is not declared. It may not be inaccessible, it may be inaccessible due to its protection level, meaning this is something that all programming languages teach, that before you use something, you must declare it if it's not an inbuilt function. In this case, sum is our own variable. So to declare variables in Visual Basic, we use this keyword dim. You can read here, it states that dim keyword declares and allocates storage space for one or more variables. So dim sum as a, let's say, integer, meaning our variable is going to hold integers now, and the integers are the one that we're going to pass. So that means that already we have the red line here. It's now not visible, meaning that now the computer has already allocated space and it's now visible. Now what happens now right here, we have now our programmer going to add information. Now what is left is for the program to display the information in this label, and this labeler is right here. It's called as a label 4. We can decide to do what? To name it answer label, meaning it's a labeler that is going to show us the answer after we add this two or more numbers, and we will do it simply by coding. So what we're going to do, we are going to again write just inside here, because this is what is all is doing everything. So we named it answer label. The good thing, it's already here because that's the name we gave it. Answer labeler dot text, because we're dealing with text, is equals to sum, meaning that the sum will, after passing these two values here, they'll be added, stored in this variable. So this variable will again assign its value or show its value to this label on top. So that is a very, very first assignment. So the second assignment, okay, we can test it and then do the second assignment. Let's test this and see if it's working well or if it has some errors. So the program is now building. Now what happens is this: once, yes, we can say it has some one or two errors. Let's see what the errors are. Sometimes it's good to have the errors so that you can know what you need to work on. Sorry, I'm supposed to say yes. Cannot start debugging because the debug target. Cannot start debugging because the debug target is some file that is missing. Please build the project and retry to set the output and assembly property to point out the correct location for the target. Okay, so apparently we need to find out where this program is supposed to be saved, and if it's not saved in the right place, then that problem would of course develop. Saved. So build up errors. Let me see what's up here. Number one, we have an error here. Now I remember we changed the name of button 1 to something else, and this is trying to look for button 1, but we cannot really be able to get it. I think it's good that we do away with that. So we delete that code, and then also we are not going to use this code. We can also delete it. Good. And then right here we need to do something. Okay, I'm going to write so let's see if still we've got some errors. It's all green, showing that we are safe, and it's running the diagnostic tool, meaning everything is fine here. So that was the problem. We sorted it out. So let's see here. We have 12 as the first number, and then we can have another 12 here. When we press calculate, we have 24 here. That's great. Now we can say 13 here, and then we can say 15 here. We need to calculate. It's 28. That's very true. So we need this button now to clear up all these things. So that's what we need to do. So let's stop our program and go back to our coding. So we need just to go to the form, and then we need to double click here. Now we know that this is called as the name is text box 1, and this is a text box 2, and this label is what is answer label. They all hold text. So if I come here, I say text box 1 dot text is equals to double quotes, meaning nothing inside. And then text box 2 dot text double quotes, that means nothing's going to, and then we have answer label, it's right here, dot text, and then we can also put it that way. So that means if we are running our program and then we have it here, we can say 23, and then we can say 65, then we can calculate, we can get it 88. That's very true. Instead of keeping on deleting from here, we can just click this button and all the values are deleted. So we can again enter some other values here, and then we can calculate, and then we have the value here, and then we can click it here. We can clear everything. So we want this one to help us to exit this this program, and I can just come here, double click, and then I can say me dot hide. So that's the final code, and now I think we are good to go. One other thing that maybe you can now just be doing, this is the form. You can click it there, and then you can choose the size, this size, and you can say you want your program to be this size. Since you are clicking on the form, you can come right here on the property and look for a property by the name size. They say size, grip style, auto size. This is the size, and we don't want that. We want our window not to be expandable or compressed. Let me see. You see auto size. Let me see here first. Yeah, auto size, it's false. So if it's false, we're not going to have it up and down. And then we also have auto size back mode, grow only, validate. That's not what I want. We have, for example, we have here the control box. This is the control box here. This maximize, minimize, and everything. If you want to remove them, you can come here and say control box is false. If you say false, okay, we have it gone out there. Then you can keep on scrolling. Foreground, background, form, border style. So this is a form, and the border style is sizable, but now we want it to be fixed. We can just say, for example, it's fixed. So meaning that if we run a program, it's not going to be too big or too small, it's going to maintain that size. So now form 1 here, this name form 1, we can change it to KSU fast simple calculator, KSU fast calc. Not valid. Okay. So let me just KSU underscore calc. Good. So at least this is our program, which is KSU.calc. So any text here to show, yes, here we can say BIT 201 stroke comp 220 fast calculator. There it is. So now we are ready to run our very first program that is a calculator. Now let's now have all these things. Now this is our very first calculator, so we can say we want to add numbers and then plus 5, and then if you calculate, the number will come there. Then we can clear, and then we can always have many other numbers come in here. So that is how simple this is. We can clear, we have the title of our calculator, we can also another title here. This is the title of the project, the calculator here. Then we have labels here, we have text boxes here, we have buttons here, and then now we can exit our program. Now that brings us to the end of this lecture. In the next lecture, I'm going to show you a couple of other programs for us to understand many other concepts. Otherwise, thank you.